girl. Hey! So how do you feel about Jordan Sparks being in a Blackish Hallmark movie?
I mean, she is like kind of half black, so I mean, Blackish does appropriate.
Oh.
Have they ever done like a Blackish holiday special, like for the Blackish people? I'm sure they have.
Like Blackish, the TV show.
Yeah, well, there's 8 of them now, right? There's Blackish, there's Grownish, there's Mixedish, and I think there's the new senior one that they're going to be doing the spinoff with the parents.
Oh, I love her.
Oh, I'll watch that. I don't even watch the other shows, but I'll watch that anything.
So I've watched Blackish a couple of times. There was a very funny one where they went to try out a white church, and they went for 1 week, they loved it. They went back the next week, and the band was the exact same, and like the preaching was the exact same, and they used the excuse of it's a cultural difference. So then the white people wanted to come to the black church. And they thought they were done after the first 2 hours.
Sorry, 3 hours later. Still...
Yes. So then the white people said, it's just culturally different. We like to worship how we like to worship. So that was funny. That was funny. But I don't like him.
Oh, the father?
Yeah. What's his name?
Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, I don't think he's funny. I never have. I
don't know. I'm having a problem lately with just traditional network sitcoms.
Yeah.
I'm just having a problem. Like, television has changed so much that those shows now to me are just like, they're so predictable and they're so formulaic and they're just like, ugh.
We started watching, we made it like 2 episodes in. I didn't enjoy it. The Peacock show about the Native American, it's like an all Native American run show, and it's got the dude from the oh my god, I can't believe Neil Harris, is that his name? No,
dear listeners, what you're hearing now is Mims's
the show
brain cells slowly dying out.
What is the name of the show? It's
$5
about a small city. It's about a small city, and like they're having a war with not a war, but a discussion with the Native American group. And oh my god,
is this that show with the guy from Hangover?
Yes, that's the movie. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Is that Ed Harris?
Oh no, I don't. I think it's Ed Helms.
Ed Helms, thank you, Ed Helms.
Yeah, somebody told me I would like that show.
Well, do you like him? Okay, then you won't like the show.
Dear listeners, in case you want a background on what I watch now for pleasure, it's literally
porn.
It's literally just anime and 1970s and 80s British mystery shows. That's pretty much all I watch now.
Speaking of anime, how do you feel about the Cowboy Bebop live action?
Oh, yum, 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 yum. Give it to me. I want it so bad.
I do not. Do you know why I do not?
No.
Because Ed's missing.
Ed's missing in the beginning.
Ed's not in this season.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, Netflix has like a long-term plan for this show.
Nope. There's no Ed. They are the most emotionally important character in the entire thing. They are.
Okay.
Like, when I first watched it and they returned to Earth, I lost my shit. Lost my shit. Lost my shit.
Dear listeners, if you can contribute $5 today, we can get the divine Miss Mims a butt plug so that she can contain her shit.
Speaking of donating $5 to containing my shit, did you know we have a Patreon?
Do we?
We do. It is patreon.com/baking sugar.
Not /.
Not /. / and not / like I said in our other pod, You Slay Me, a Murder, She Wrote podcast.
It got real dirty in there when he said / It got real dirty.
It didn't get that dirty. But yeah, we're our first goal is to get rid of the pesky ads you hear every time we do this.
Yes.
We have some other goals. Eventually, we're going to be exercising to the Dixie Carter yoga.
Oh my gosh! I just realized Dixie Carter and Angela Lansbury both did exercise videos.
Yes, we've talked about this.
I know, but I forget things easily.
You do.
So it's like a surprise every time I remember stuff.
It's your least endearing quality.
I don't know. So speaking of my endearing qualities, I decided to try a new sewing project.
Ooh, what are you making?
I'm making my own underwear.
Okay.
I was like, I found this because so for dear listeners, you don't know this about me. This might be TMI. I don't really like boxer briefs or boxers. I'm more of a briefs person, but I like very specific types of briefs, and the style that I like is really out of fashion nowadays.
What style do you like?
I just like those kind of almost look like swim briefs, like the jockey cut kind of briefs without the waistbands. Like the waistband is rolled inside of the print, so there's no actual waistband.
Oh, okay. I was like,
they don't really make those. They're not really. I mean, There's a couple of places that still have them, but it's really, very rare. So I was looked online, and I was like, oh wait, I could actually make these out of some fabrics that I like. So, so I cut everything out yesterday, and before our little tete-a-tete, I started the process of sewing some stuff. I'm glad that I had a test pair because based on the instructions, I was like, oh, okay, this seems pretty simple. It's not that it's not simple, but the person that made the instructions, I think that they thought everything would be done on one specific machine, the serger. Mm-hmm. And, but I don't like super thick elastic. So I'm going to have to kind of do a hybrid of like the serger and regular sewing machine.
That sounds kind of weird. They would expect it to be on a serger.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
because
here's the thing though, right? It makes sense because remember we had that discussion about the cover stitch machine. Mm-hmm. That's what they were using. Okay. So I was like, okay, guy, what about people that don't have a cover stitch machine? Because I don't want to spend another $700. I do, but I'm not going to. I swear I'm not going to.
Why not?
I'm just not going to.
Why not? You should be making bank from all these drag appearances, so.
I only do like one a week. It's not like
you should be making tens of dollars doing that a week.
I do actually. I actually do make tens of dollars.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Somebody gave me a $20 tip on Thursday.
Oh, did they tell you to shut up?
No. Oh, actually,
wow.
They didn't.
Wow. That's a. Wow.
They did not. I hate you. If I didn't love you so much, I would hate you so very much.
Oh, goodness. Well, dear listeners.
Oh, God. We have to do this, don't we?
We do. Well, do you want to keep talking for a little bit before we get
Nope, we really got to do this.
Hold on. Let me turn on my lamp.
We really got to do this because it's a very important episode of Designing Women, and it's very triggering for the two of us, and there's just a lot of stuff going on that, we got to do it.
So, dear listeners, this is season 2, episode 4, Killing All the Right People.
I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. And that's Marjorie. Just so you will know, and your children will someday know, is the night the lights went out in Georgia. The lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out. And that is the night the lights went out in Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't have even played it in a minor key for this episode. Like,
That would have been laying it on a bit thick.
So dear listeners, this is not a happy episode. Let's do a little bit
out of the way first.
Yeah, let's do a little bit of background. This episode covers the AIDS pandemic.
In the heat of it.
Linda Bloodworth Thompson's mother died of AIDS. She had a blood transfusion and died, and she got AIDS in 1983, or HIV in 1983. Died of AIDS in 1987. So she and Arthur Ashe actually started like really advocating for HIV awareness and that sort of thing. Luckily today, the number of people dying of HIV and AIDS, at least in the United States, has gone down dramatically, right?
Dramatically.
Because we have PrEP for people to take when they're sexually active and like as preventative. We have a lot of post drugs to assist to prevent people from even expressing the virus to other people. In 1987, AZT was the first drug to come out to really treat HIV, and that was during this time as well.
Yes.
Interesting note, the new Pfizer drug to treat COVID uses an HIV medication in it as one of the two. Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it uses that as a viral suppressant.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
And AZT, I don't know if you know this, AZT was sort of a mistake. They sort of accidentally found that it worked for HIV. It was being tested for something else, and they were like, oh, this works. And GlaxoSmithKline was like, free. We're gonna make this cheap for everybody.
Oh, like the Viagra for boners? That was a side effect?
Yeah. It was actually meant for a heart condition for that. I don't remember what AZT had been used for something else. I don't remember what it was, but maybe it was an anti... Like maybe it was like ivermectin or something. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. Like, don't hold me.
How dare you invoke the name of that product in our podcast?
So, dear listeners, there is some research on ivermectin and COVID. I just want to be honest with you. There is some research, and the research is that you have to drink a bucket load of it for it to do anything. So, you know what? If you're
drink up,
you may die from it. So, and that's only in cellular stays. That's not even in person stays. Whatever. Anyway,
like a wolf, not like a sheep.
God. And Aaron Rodgers is. I'm throwing down my.
Oh, girl! I was like, wait, what?
So, do you know who's to blame for this? Probably
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, for his stuff with this. Shailene Woodley, because she's a hippy dippy crazy person.
And Joe Rogan, because he actually cited Joe Rogan specifically.
Yes, in helping him with
his research.
Yes, and Aaron Rodgers used to be so hot. I knew something was wrong whenever he started growing out his hair.
See, there's something about his like sunken in face that I just don't find appealing.
Really?
He has like just his like eye sockets are sunken in. It's just, I don't know. I always
thought he was one of the few football players that did it for me. Like, most
of the football players that would do it for me will probably be on the defensive end of the spectrum.
Like the big boys,
well, I mean, it is getting chilly. I want somebody to cuddle with.
Is MrMahaffey a little bit too bony for you right now?
No, he's just right. He's just right.
Good save, girl. Good save.
Just right, girl.
He's just right. He's just
right. Actually, he gives off way too much body heat, to be very honest with you.
Girl, let me tell you, and I know we're putting off getting started in this episode. Let me tell you the best thing that Mr. Mims and I did. We bought a king-size bed so that we can both be on separate sides of the bed, and it's not too hot. It's like having my own twin plus-size bed with a little pillow in between that the dog can lay her head on, because it goes me on the left, the dog in the middle, husband on the right. He gets the sheet. We each have our own blankets. It's fantastic.
I guess that's probably part of the problem that the bed's so hot is because there are 3 cats in it at the same time. So that probably makes sense.
God, 3 cats.
3 cats and sometimes a dog. Sometimes one of the dogs likes to lay at the headboard. And
I can't have the cat in the bed because he'll wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning and want to go eat.
Oh, see, ours don't do that. They just sleep.
No,
like, they're old ladies.
He's an old man, but he starts like at 3 o'clock howling, and at 5 o'clock he expects to be fed.
Wow.
And he is sitting outside the door from 5 o'clock on. Like pawing up underneath sometimes. Took me a while to get used to that.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's get on with this episode.
We're at Sugar Bakers.
Yes, Sugar Bakers.
Imogene Salinger. Great name. Great name.
And appropriate for her character.
It's true. Is there. And she's always jealous of Julia. Always jealous.
She should be.
She should be. So they're having a little discussion, and Suzanne's like, I can't stand Imogene. She's blah, 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 blah. So Julia escorts her out, and she says, by the way, Payne is flunking chemistry. And Imogene's like, well, isn't that nice? I feel bad for him. And, like, Imogene leaves, and Payne's making straight A's. It was just Imogene's birthday, so they make her feel good.
What'd she say? It's cheaper than buying her a scarf. I was like, yes.
we learn this is Bernice Clifton is back.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
And she's a necessary character in this episode.
She is.
A little bit light.
She is. So Julia is sending Anthony to pick up Bernice.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernice is going with Julia to the symphony.
That's right. And Julia offered an extra ticket to Maryjo because she had one.
That's exactly right. And Maryjo's like, no, I've got to go to the PTA tonight, even though I don't want to. We're just going to be discussing something real boring, which turns out to be real important. But
real important.
Then so Charlene comes in. She tells a racist joke.
She does.
Like something about.
She says, "Have y'all ever noticed that all these little stores are being taken over by Middle Eastern people or teenagers? I mean, every time I go in there, somebody's either named Abdul or Kevin." I was like, "Is Kevin a teenager name?"
It was at the time.
I was like, are there no adult men named Kevin?
It could also have been Jennifer at that time.
Sue, actually.
Actually, no, Jennifer would have been too young.
Yeah, Jennifer was like
too young.
Because Jennifer was like our generation.
Jennifer's our... Dear listeners. Who are probably all Jennifers.
Jennifer Convertibles.
Not Jennifer Convertibles, girl!
Those commercials used to bother me so much. I'm like, this is such a weird name for a company.
Oh, you know what time of year it is now? It does. Like
it was up late. It missed the daylight savings. The clock's off. It's just all messed up.
So Anthony is doing something for his communications group.
Right.
And Kendall, I thought I wrote down his name. His last name.
I just wrote down Kendall.
It's Kendall something.
It's Kendall something, but I just wrote down Kendall.
Kendall, I put an arrow down for last name, and I don't have his... Kendall Dobbs! Kendall Dobbs, like the fort in Statesville. Kendall Dobbs.
Like Fort Dobbs in Statesville.
Is going to help Anthony.
Oh, that's nice. He sounds like a nice young man.
He does. And Anthony's going to go and pick up Bernice right now.
Woo! Bring on Bernice!
Yeah, Bernice! Well, as soon as Anthony leaves, who shows up?
Bernice?
No! Kendall.
Kendall.
The president from Scandal.
Yes, the president from Scandal. The sexy president from Scandal.
Looking hot and young and blonde right now. Oh.
He was such a handsome young man back then.
God, he looks like a young version of The Mentalist.
Oh.
Did that do it for you right there?
Oh, The Mentalist. Oof. Jeez. I didn't even know what that show was about. I was like, I need to watch this show.
It's about nothing.
Every commercial that came out, I was like, I don't know what this is about, but I gotta watch it sometime.
Have you watched it yet?
Nope.
Don't worry about it. Just keep watching the commercials. I'm sure they're still out there somewhere. So Kendall has a project for the ladies.
Oh, what kind of project? I mean, they do all sorts of crazy projects.
His funeral.
I'm sorry, what? But he's
got
young
AIDS.
and handsome. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, dear listeners, it's this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Suzanne didn't even know he was gay.
Okay. I mean, I guess that could be... Well, I mean, Suzanne doesn't know a lot of stuff. I mean, she's got terrible... We've seen it before. She has terrible gaydar. That's actually come up before in the show.
That's true. But, like, with that curly blonde hair and that smart of dress, and of course he's gay in the 80s.
Well, it's interesting, right? So I was so funny because if you think about the 80s, right? Like, especially what was on at the time, this is really one of the only shows where you could actually realistically bring this up because they're in the design world. So it actually kind of made sense. I didn't think about, I mean, obviously we didn't think about it when we were kids, but like, this is one of the only shows that was out that actually would have made any sense to bring it even up. It's like, that's the only one that touches a lot of like the homosexual community.
So we also find out that his parents disowned him.
Yep.
Not for the AIDS thing.
Nope.
But for the gay thing.
Yep.
And he's got a room in a funeral home that he wants to redo like New Orleans. Basically have a jazz band, a good old New Orleans wake, and he wants to make the people there happy because they've got a lot of HIV patients.
Yep.
Dear listeners, I would like to suggest right now there's an episode of Pose that I believe you should watch. The episode at the HIV clinic with Sandra Bernhard as the nurse threw me for a loop when it was Sandra Bernhard, by the way.
I was happy to see her. I
was too. But MJ Rodriguez and what's his name?
Billy Porter
do the song from The Wiz there. They sang the mess out of it. There's hold on. We're gonna okay, it says that we're okay, it's still going, so we're just gonna keep on going.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with this stupid thing. What is this warning over here? I've got another warning at me. I don't care about that warning. What's over here? Is there something else? No, we're good. Okay, let's just keep going. Dear listeners, the we're having some buffering issues. I don't know. I really should restart my computer more often.
Yes.
Anyway, watch the episode Billy Porter Pose.
Back to our regularly.
Back. I'm trying to and Julia just looks up and goes, "When do we start?"
Yep.
Right.
So of course we can't stay in the low zone. So here comes Bernice and Anthony.
Bernice and Anthony.
That wig, girl. That wig.
That wig. So Anthony got pulled over because Bernice had left her seatbelt out the window and it was running on the ground and making sparks.
Nobody present day can understand how that even happens, but we know how that we know what the seatbelts are like.
Yes.
When she said that, I was like, nobody under the age of 30 is going to get this reference at all.
And she's like, well, I didn't want to get anybody arrested, so I told him we were on our honeymoon. And Anthony was like, the policeman let them go, but he did say it was the weirdest couple he'd ever seen.
He did. Which I was like, well,
yeah,
it could have been worse. It could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
Oh my God.
So everybody's looking very depressed.
Yep. crying almost.
And very sad. Crying. Yes. And like they're like, we just found out one of our, dear friends is going to die, and Bernice offers them all a chiclet.
I shouldn't laugh as much as I did, but I laughed so hard when she said that. I forgot about chiclets. So.
Oh, chiclets are delicious!
No, I know. I just forgot about them when she said it. I just killed. I was literally like, oh, my heart wasn't ready for that. Oh.
So then they start talking about Anthony. They tell Anthony that he's dying, that Kendall's dying. And Suzanne's like, well, we didn't have safe sex. So Bernice says she always had safe sex. It was in bed. It usually happened while she was asleep.
I wrote in my notes, I said, Bernice safe sex talk, ... questionable?
It sounds like non-consensual to me.
I was like, what? That's not okay. Like, and obviously the audience is like, ha, 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 ha. And here we are sitting in 2021 like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, that's actually, I thought that was a pretty one. So when we cut to the PTA meeting
with and they are discussing abstinence versus condoms
with our Bobo Tammy Faye.
With our Bobo Tammy, not even Tammy Faye. It's what's her doodle, the pie in the face woman.
Yeah. Oh crap! I have her orange juice.
Yes.
I can't think of her name. I can't think of her name suddenly.
Yes. Where's my phone? Hey Google.
It was.
Oh my God! What is her name?
Anita Bryant.
Thank you. Anita Bryant. Do you remember the wigs?
I just had to keep replaying that image of her getting hit in the face with a pie, and it came to me.
It's so great. But like, yeah, so this is their version of Tammy Faye, Anita Bryant.
All of those.
Most of the preachers' wives that we went to school with,
the Southern Baptist ladies of Hades.
So the head of the PTA is like, you know what? This is a very important topic. We're going to postpone the actual vote to next week. Caroline, you're going to be in charge of the against thing, against having condoms in school. And Maryjo, who gives a little speech about,
she starts to give a speech and then she sits back down again.
She stops. She gets voted in to give the pro condoms in school.
And dear listeners, I'd like to point this out that in the United States, it's almost 40 years later, and they're still having these conversations in PTA meetings.
I don't.
So for me, right, let me just say, on record, right, to me, I think it is insane that we are still talking about contraceptives as if pregnancy on the heterosexual side of the equation, as if pregnancy is the only thing that we're concerned about. And for me, whether it be their side or our side, who has plenty more to worry about other than HIV, it is amazing that we still limit our conversations to very specific things, as if there aren't a plethora of STDs out there all over the place.
Well, you see, it comes from this thought. I've never understood it, but this thought that our children say they're not going to have sex, so they aren't going to have sex, right? Like, they're going to tell us we're not going to have sex, so they're definitely not going to have sex. I don't.
It's the silliest conversation point ever.
And then there's also and even if they do something, they're not going to have real sex. They're just going to do a little other stuff. If they can't get anything from others, you can get stuff from oral sex, right? Like,
yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Ask Michael Douglas.
Speaking of that, I've got two quick stories. Number one, HPV. The HPV vaccine has now prevented, it's estimated 90% of cervical cancers.
Oh, wow.
There was a new study, I believe it was The Lancet, that says that vaccine has prevented 90% of cervical cancers.
Whoa. See, there you go. Vaccines do things.
That's exactly right. The other thing, I got transported back to high school with this whole conversation.
I'm very sorry hearing this, what you were about to say then. That's very sad.
So I was in my anatomy and physiology class, because I had basically, dear listeners, when it comes to sciences in high school, I was pretty much, I'd already taken everything by like senior year.
Dear listeners, let's take the modesty out of this. When it came to the sciences in high school, the Divine Miss Mims was really second to none. So let's be real honest here. Let's not be, I mean, it's fine to be humble and all, but let's be honest here.
So I had to have something. So I took anatomy and physiology. And it was a diverse group of people. So the teacher brought in somebody from the Statesville Health Department to discuss STDs.
I'm so sorry.
So this woman, this little tiny black woman, I'll never forget it. This little tiny black woman, she was 5 foot nothing, maybe weighed $120. Okay, was like, she was giving her speech. It was going very well, and everything was very professional. Then somebody, like one of the people in class, asked, "Well, what if he says he's too big for a condom?" She ripped a condom out of a package. Yes! Like, don't ever let that asshole, as she's rolling the whole condom down her bony little arm, don't ever let that asshole say that his stuff is too big for a damn condom. It ain't too big. It ain't too big. And she had it all the way up to her shoulder. And like, I lost my shit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That sounds like
that
heaven.
Happened.
That sounds like heaven
to
me.
That was I don't remember if I applauded or not.
Standing ovation. You go, girl. You go.
So now we're back at Sugar Bakers.
Yes, we are.
And Maryjo does not know where to begin. Like, she's done a lot of research. She got a bunch of books from the library, but she just does not know where to begin.
Nope.
I love
she's like, once again, this is actually a really excellent kind of interspersing of a very serious topic with some kind of funny, like Charlene talking about the condoms in her father's drawer and blowing those up, and he got mad at her. And I thought to myself, he never use the condoms in the drawer, because don't you have like 1,000 siblings?
Yeah, exactly. And Bernice says, one of my favorite lines, "I can help you. Yeah. I've had sex."
Yes. Bernice.
We learned that Maryjo is being called the condom queen by the students.
I mean, I love that title personally, but that's just me.
And Suzanne just doesn't understand sex at all. Like, sex is silly, it's silly looking, and it messes up your hair.
She's right, though. She didn't say anything that was wrong. She didn't say anything that was wrong. Nothing that was wrong.
I mean, she said, that it must be hormones the only reason we would link up, because why else would we do it?
I have had numerous friends, mostly African-American females, that complain all the time about dudes wanting to mess with their hair and how they need to keep their hands off. It's actually like not that uncommon. I had this one friend. Oh my gosh. So I had this friend back when I was still living in North Carolina, and she was a sex worker, and she used to complain because she had to keep buying lace tape or lace glue because she's always with some John, and they always grabbed her hair, and she was like, and she said, like, it was literally like she had to spend like hundreds of dollars a month, literally a month, because she had like good lace glue, but it just still keep coming off between the sweat and the pulling.
So Maryjo turns to Julia and says, "I wish I could be more like you." And Julia's like, "What are you talking about?
What do you mean? I don't understand."
And Suzanne's just like, "Well, we call you, we call you Terminator or whatever."
Julia, I don't understand. Julia can't be like, "No, Julia, we know that you're the Terminator."
So then they start to think of things to get Julia fired up. And Suzanne says, "When men use women's liberation to not kill bugs."
Yes. And I just wrote in like giant exclamations, "The man should have to kill the bug!" Exclamation. I was like, wow, that's where we're going in this episode. Wow.
So Kendall comes in.
He does.
And Charlene holds his hand.
Yeah. And
Charlene's like, "No biggie." And Kendall's like, "Well, some of the nurses won't even hold our hand." Yep. Right? Like, it was, and y'all, this sometimes still happens, right? Like,
it still happens. It's not that unheard of.
There's still a stigma around HIV.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And so dear listeners, something you may not know. So this episode actually resonated a lot with Mims and I, because almost at the exact same time that this episode came out, we had our own little HIV/AIDS scandal in our city, because there was a child who had become a advocate who had gotten HIV through a blood transfusion, Ryan White, and they shot his story in our city, in our little town, and we actually had our own PTA debacle because they wanted to shoot some of the scenes in our school, and parents back then, what was 87?
That sounds right.
Parents back then, they protested, they were adamant and all of that. They lost, thankfully, because our particular little school was a little bit more progressive than the rest of the city.
Yeah.
But he came, he spoke to our school, he talked to us. And so this episode this is why, for the two of us, this episode has got a lot of things about it that are just very close to us.
Right. Starring Judith Light.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You remember that was even controversial, because she was still doing Who's the Boss, and people were like, you shouldn't get attached to something so controversial.
Yep. And so part of what he was a hemophiliac.
Mm-hmm.
And the drugs that for hemophilia, they're still made today, right? Still made the exact same way. It's just they didn't test for the HIV virus at the time. Part of that was they didn't know to test. Part of that was a little negligence, because they should have been testing as soon as they knew about it, right? But he got it. I don't remember if he got it through a blood transfusion or through the.
I think he got through the transfusion. I can't remember it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, but both were culpable. Like the Red Cross was culpable, and the companies were culpable. Anyway,
but somehow all the gays still got the blame.
I mean, they
and still get the blame.
Like there was, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like there was some stuff still going on when it should have been stopped in San Francisco and the bigger cities, right?
No, I agree.
Like there was still some. We're going to die anyway. Might as well just fuck the pain away.
Technically, that's still going on.
Yeah, I know. So Suzanne's like, "Hey, we know how to get HIV. We know how to get HIV and AIDS. You can't get through kissing. You can't get through holding hands. It's through blood, sex, period."
I appreciate the fact that they even had that scene where Suzanne's like, "I talked to my doctor and he told me this." I was like, oh my gosh. That gave her a moment of substance. Yep.
So Julia goes on a little tirade about slut shaming. that, you know, directors are starting to not show as much sex in things because it makes it prim and proper to protect, to not get people to have sex for HIV and blah, blah, blah. Why couldn't we just do it because it's, you know, the right thing to do? She does a little moralizing, I guess, is a better word than slut shaming.
A little moralizing.
And then Jean comes up and says, well, I didn't even know. Like, she's been in the background this whole time.
Yep.
Well, I had heard the rumors, but I just can't believe blah, 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 blah. They get what they deserve. They're getting what they deserve. That's killing them because they deserve to be killed.
Hashtag triggered.
Ugh.
I remember, you remember hearing that in church sometimes?
No.
Oh, we used to hear it frequently in ours.
No. Our Catholic Church was very progressive. So a little side thing from the Catholic Church, down here at least. So our Catholic Church, because there were so few Catholics in the town, it was actually very progressive.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
We very rarely talked about abortion.
Whoa.
We did not talk about gays. It was just let go. You know, people are sinners. The end.
That should be That should be every sermon.
It should be. People are sinners. Forgive each other. There's probably not a hell. We're done.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, our current pope is even trying to get to. There is some Catholic doctrine that there's not even a hell.
What?
Like, that is all a construct to scare people.
Oh boy.
And our current pope is one of those that kind of believes that there's no hell, so he's sort of pushing that along. Yeah.
That should go well.
Yeah, it's not. So Julia goes to kick Imogen out.
She
says, "Get serious. If God was giving us STDs for sinning, you would be at the free clinic all the time. I've known you for 20 some odd years, blah, 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 blah." Yes. And then she ends up with "So would we all."
Yep, which was beautiful.
And that's the point, you know, everybody's a sinner. Especially, like, we'll get into that in a second. So, now we're back at the PTA meeting.
Yep.
And Maryjo starts off very weak.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Maryjo.
And then she gets pressed. She's eventually like, "Hey, I have a dear friend who's dying of AIDS. Condoms prevent AIDS. If our children make mistakes, they shouldn't die from it. Period." That's it. Like,
it's a very simple point.
somehow though, that conversation doesn't work, right? Like I remember these conversations from when we were younger at our school, and it's like, but they shouldn't die for their mistake, right? Yeah, they should. What?
Yeah.
What? Like,
yes.
what?
I mean, literally, like, yeah.
What?
They should.
What?
Because, I mean, we come from a very punishment-based existence, right? Like, everything should be punished. There's no such thing as empathy. There's no such thing as forgiveness. There's no such thing as second chances. Think about how many people would, like, go, I mean, especially from, like, where we're at, like, if a person came out from jail or prison, their life is over. Like, they basically, that's what they walk around with for the rest of their life. Like, even though they did what they needed to do, they served their time, they did all, doesn't matter. They're still a terrible person. They're still, and they could have gone to jail for anything. Like drunk driving. Jeez.
God. So now we pan to the funeral,
Whew.
right? Like, and everybody, I don't know. Those actors actually may have been HIV patients.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised because they looked a little
worse for wear.
like they'd seen some things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then they're all singing a hymn. Even Bernice is there, sitting there singing a hymn.
Yep.
And that's in the episode.
Just a closer walk with thee.
Yep.
Lord Jesus, if you please. And so it's so crazy. It's like, I'll hear a hymn nowadays and it's like, wow, I still know every word of so many of these songs. And I was just sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, like it just all came running back.
Our hymn, like Catholics don't really, they've got a different set of hymns than the Protestant hymns.
Y'all
right?
do.
And our hymns are very different from Black Protestant hymns, right?
Oh, yes, a lot.
Although white Protestants in the South stole all y'all's hymns.
Oh,
so
it's
there's
very
that too.
true. Well, the ones that didn't start doing that whole like contemporary stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I was at my grandmother Mims's, my grandmother on my dad's side's.
Gotcha.
I'm not. Yeah. Her funeral. And they played Amazing Grace, and they played a modern version in 4/4 time. And I was like, what is, what? I was like, what's, something doesn't feel right. And then it switched back to the normal time. Like, I think it's normally 3/4 or something like that. And it would go back and forth. And I was like, this is disjointed and uncomfortable. But it's apparently a modern version of the song that, like, yeah.
Is that really necessary? Like, is it really necessary?
It took all the blackness out of it.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Let's just strip it completely.
Yeah. So did you like this episode?
No,
No.
No, you know how I talk. You know how it is. I do that thing that people hate other people do. I do it.
Yeah.
Man, it was so much here. I mean, I love this episode. It's a painful episode.
Yes.
There's so much. I mean, especially for us, right? We are a very unique generation. We were the first, like, young people that literally grew up, like, with this always hanging over us.
Yep.
And for, like, being gay as well, like, it's just so, there's just so much about it that I was like, oh, man. And, I think it was a beautiful episode. I think they did it. I honestly can't imagine how they could have done it any better than they did it.
Right. I think this is probably the greatest episode of Designing Women. Maybe not the best episode, but like the greatest
I would agree.
episode. And not to date. I believe in the ones to come. I do not, if I remember correctly, there's not one that is like such a monolith as this episode.
Well, this episode too, though, it's everything that's right about the show.
Right.
But it's doing it in the show's way, right? It's
right.
We're going to still have laughs. We're going to still, because like sitcoms in the 80s when they would do like special episodes, there would be no laughs. It would just be like the whole thing was heavy-handed, and it's fine. They were getting messages across, but like this one still managed to be Designing Women, but with a heavy topic.
And I mean, going back to the point of us and our generation, we are hopefully the last generation to know people to die from HIV. Like I have known two people to pass away from it. AIDS who got it back in the day, way on far back in the day. So hopefully now, but I also know people who are living with it still.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully we are the last generation to even know that. I would like to give a shout out. Here's a shout out that I bet you didn't believe that I was going to give. Speaking of HIV, to Angina. For dear listeners, Angina is a drag queen.
She was just here too. She was just here 2 weeks ago.
I love her. She's boring sometimes.
Yeah, that's why we didn't go, because we were like,
She is one of the first people, even though she was on the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race, she was one of the first people to publicly come out in a setting and say she's HIV positive.
Yep.
Yeah. Not like Greg Louganis, who just sort of was forced into it.
Oh, he was on. Oh, by the way.
Oh no.
So, do you remember when I kept trying to get you to watch that show on Hulu? the holy moly, the putt show. Remember,
yes.
I told you Steve Gutenberg was on there.
Oh yes.
So Greg Louganis was also on the same panel as Steve Gutenberg. It's actually quite. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. That's my other genre of television that I like, dear listeners. I just like stupid, goofy competition shows that make absolutely no sense, like Holy Moly or Wipeout. I don't know why. I just love those things.
So, did you find yourself a Miss Georgia World in this episode?
I did, and her name was Kendall.
Yes, in that red vest, with that blue suit with the red vest. Oh.
I forget sometimes that men in the 80s used to be attractive.
Yeah, I mean, because usually when you see them in like TV shows, you were seeing the one that Charlene said was the most attractive man in the world, right?
Yes.
Like, he was ugly.
He was not attractive.
But Kendall
he looked amazing.
Oh.
He looked amazing. I was really I was into it.
Speaking of hot guys, I was getting some gas in Statesville, North Carolina today.
You went to Statesville today?
I went to Statesville last night, stayed the night, came back home. We're trying to get Thanksgiving together and figuring stuff out.
I need you to go by and see Mama Maim sometime. She'd love to see you.
When Grandmama Mims says, it's been a while. I about said my real name there. When she says it's been a while in her little German accent, and are you like, she suddenly tells me to come back by telling my mom she thinks I'll be back on a certain day. And I know that next week I've got to go. So I was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, hey, your grandmother thinks that you're going to be here this weekend. You're not going to be, are you? I was like, no, but I guess that means I'm coming the next weekend, doesn't it? So I usually go down, it's real fast. Like, I come down, eat dinner, go back. Yeah. So I was getting some gas at the Love's truck stop. The new Love's truck stop. The new Love's truck stop.
I had 3 different family members tell me when that thing opened.
There's a Chester's Chicken and a McDonald's on it.
A Chester's Chicken, girl.
A Chester's Chicken. So there is this man.
Uh-oh.
A man coming out of the Love's. He is not wearing a shirt. He is with brown cocoa skin and curly black hair.
You better do it, CC. You better sing that song, girl.
Okay, it wasn't that brown cocoa skin, but it was a light olive.
Oh yeah.
And like tattoos and muscles everywhere. I was like, this is the roughest trade I think I have ever seen.
In Statesville of all places.
Statesville. Like, I had to clutch my pearls while I was filling up my gas tank.
Do a quadruple take. Like, am I seeing this? Is this for real? Is this real life? Is this fantasy? Like, what's happening right now?
Oh, God. Yeah. So that happened to me today.
I appreciate that. I like that story. That's actually really cool. No, I mean, you know.
That sounds really cool.
It does. I mean, it's like, you know, that's the thing about down here, right? So I'm in South Florida where there's always, like, fit men everywhere. But there's not a lot of, like, rough fit men. Right? They're always very polished here. And even the dudes
You're just in the wrong part of Miami.
I am.
Just go a block or two that other way.
No, I probably need to go to Hialeah. That's where I've heard that's where the
where you're with all the Republicans.
No, I'm not. This is not a Republican area. This is not.
You need to go toward where the liberal Puerto Ricans are.
Broward County is the most Democratic county in the entire state.
I know.
People make fun of it all the time. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that, like, people in Dade County make fun of us, and I'm like, you guys are far more Republican than we are. What are you talking about? Like, you guys have a lot of, like, brown Republicans, which is unheard of in most parts of the country.
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh. Well, Maim, we made it through this. We made it through this fantastic episode.
We did. We didn't cry.
I did. I did both in the original and the rewatch of it.
Oh, I did too. I just didn't cry talking about it, which I'm glad about.
So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. Dear listeners, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I'm at auntie.maim. That's MAIM. I'm on Facebook at I'm Your Auntie Maim. That's all one word. If you would like to meet me in real life, every Thursday at Kill Your Idol on Miami Beach, I host Amazing Colossal Karaoke. It's a fun night that we have. If you come early at 8, we have happy hour, so everything's half price. And we have a good time. It's this past week was a hoot.
Dear listeners, I would like to apologize for Maim's speech impediment. I guess it's more of an affectation than a
I just gotta be me.
So should I do one too?
Yes,
I'll do my Angela Lansbury.
Give me a C, a bouncy C.
Dear listeners, you can find me on Twitter at Divine Mims. You can find this podcast on Twitter at
Keep going.
Baking Sugar Pond. You can support us on our Patreon, patreon.com/baking sugar.
There you go. Yeah, improv has taught me stamina and maintaining voices for long periods of time. But now, after hearing you, I really want a meat pie.
Oh, and dear listeners, you can also enjoy our other podcast if you like Murder, She Wrote at You Slay Me.
And if you're not sure if you like Murder, She Wrote, you can watch it on Peacock.
Peacock.
For free.
Yeah. I think we're done here. Do you think we're done here?
Oh my gosh, let's be done, because this is all just it's a how's that song go? I'm on an emotional roller coaster. I'm loving you, ain't nothing helping.
That's not a song I thought you were going to sing.
Okay.
You got me feeling emotion.
Yes, deeper than I've ever dreamed of.
All right, bye, girl.
Hi, Andy.